What is up, everybody? We are live here today with our special guest, Barry Shuck of Dawgs By Nature. You guys have seen him on the show before. Great guy, very knowledgeable. How you doing, Barry?
I'm doing really, really well. Yourself?
I am great. I'm not in Florida weather like yourself, but I'm in rainstorms and in and out thunderstorms and all
Yeah, well,
that
it's
fun
hot
stuff.
everywhere, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's hot everywhere. I think this time of year the heat index it's always in triple digits.
Yeah, I feel when I walk outside, I'm just like squeezing between Satan's butt cheeks. It's not a good time. But
Yeah,
me and
yeah,
Barry have actually been talking on the
ab-
phone for a couple days, and we decided
yeah,
let's go over the offense of the Cleveland Browns, and that is exactly what we're going to do
yeah.
today.
It seems to be the problem area, if you ask me. I think the defense will get back on track, and hopefully our kicker will come around. Of course, we got a new long snapper. Our punter should have been 3 or 4 Pro Bowls and hasn't got a Pro Bowl yet. But the offense seems to be the problem.
I think it's in shambles, obviously because of Deshaun Watson is my thing. When the guy was out there at all, it just seemed horrific. Like nobody else wanted to play, and I'm not going to say that because I think you and I have talked about it before, where these guys aren't going to mess up on purpose because they still got to put out good film, no matter what. But he's a huge dump, man. Like
Yeah,
it just doesn't work out with him on the field or in the building. For all that, I imagine.
yeah. Well, and the offense, I think he holds the ball too long. He didn't run like he used to. I remember when he was at Cleveland, he ran like a gazelle. He had those long, smooth strides. He would go through at least 2 progressions before he'd take off. He wasn't like a Tim Tebow and do one progression, then take off. Um, but he just played bad. He just played bad all the time. And, the Browns couldn't score any points when he was in the game 13 points, 20 points. I mean, that was kind of our cap right there. And then when Jameis came, all of a sudden he's throwing for almost 400 yards, 300 yards every game. Joe Flacco, the same thing, 300 yards every game. We're scoring 30 points. With Jameis, we're throwing 30 points. Of course, with Jameis, you're going to throw 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions a game. So I thought Jameis was exciting to watch. The Browns offense was exciting. But dude, you can't drive the field and go to the 25-yard line and then throw an interception twice a game. That just kills you.
And that's with Joe Flacco as well. I mean, obviously he's averaging 2 interceptions a game, but he's going out there having fun. He's staying in the pocket, which is what I like to see. I want a quarterback that can stay in the pocket, less likely to get injured that way. Obviously, if you're
Yeah.
taking sacks, there's a possibility you're going to get injured. And we were sacked, 66 times last year? It's insane.
Yeah. Second most behind the Bears.
So we have
Yeah. But,
to, we're going to talk about it here in a little bit, but, the offensive line issues as well that hopefully will
yep.
not carry over into this year.
Yeah. Hopefully it won't. I mean, that whatever the offensive line does, that's what the offense does. When your offensive line plays poorly, then sacks go up, like you said. Uh, Incompletions go up. The running game suffers. So your running back, is getting 50, 60, 70 yards a game. And then your pressures go up, which I think pressures are the new sacks. Um, and then scoring goes down. When you're scoring 20 points a game in today's NFL, that's nothing. If this was in the 1950s, you win every game scoring 20 points,
All
but
right.
not in today's NFL. You got to have a good passing game. You got to have a good running game behind it. And we were 29th in the league in rushing last year. Can you believe a Cleveland Browns team was 29th in rushing?
I haven't seen that since 2017.
Yeah, at least.
But yeah,
At
we're
least.
going to get into it. There's a lot that this offense has issues with. Obviously, you're scoring 14 points a game. That's not going to win. Their defense could only do so much. They're probably tired last year. I could only imagine because they were always out in the field.
Yeah.
Jen says, "Get to work." I'm on vacation, so this is work.
Yeah, it is.
Actually went golfing this morning. It's been a great day so far. But
Oh, how many rounds did you do?
I did 9 holes, and I'm thankful we did because as soon as I got home, it torrential downpour and thunderstorm. So
Oh
I
crap.
didn't do so well. This is my first time out this year, but had a couple nice chips, but one or two drives maybe, and then everything else just fell apart.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotcha. It's a hard game. It's an aggravating game. I never gravitated towards individual sports like tennis and golf. You don't have anybody to blame. At least with team sports, you can point your finger and say, "No, it's Mike's fault," and then everybody starts talking about Mike.
There is a huge eye in golf somewhere. It's there.
Yeah, that's true that.
But yeah, I guess I'll get to the first question here, Barry. The
All
main
right.
focus of this year's team has to be an offensive side of the ball. Stefanski has come out and stated that he will return to the running game as a focus. The big
Okay.
question is what are the changes from last year to this year, in your
Well,
opinion?
well, for run, you have to look at the running back room. Sadly, Nick Chubb is gone. He's already signed with Houston Texans. We're not going to get Cream Hunt back. He re-signed with Kansas City Chiefs, and then we drafted two guys, Quinshon Judkins of Ohio State, and then Dylan Sampson, who was the SEC Offensive Player of the Year from Tennessee. We got him in the 4th round. They're both completely different backs. Sampson is 5'8", 200. He runs a 4.42 in the 40. Judkins he's a wrecking ball. 6 foot, 221 pounds, runs a 4.48 in the 40. But the problem right now and then of course Jerome Ford is expected to be the starter. I guess because everywhere I've read, they keep calling him the starter. I've looked at now the Browns don't have an official depth chart yet. They won't have that until the first 2 weeks of training camp, but everybody else has a depth chart, and they're all listing Jerome Ford as the starting. I guess because he's the incumbent, because he's the veteran. What's your opinion about that?
I'll explain exactly why Jerome Ford is listed as the starter right now. If the
Okay.
offensive line goes back to what they used to be, you're not going to
Yeah.
see the same Jerome Ford as last year either. We had Greg Pruitt on a show a couple weeks ago, and I asked him, how
Okay.
important is an offensive line to you as a running back? And he said,
Yeah.
oh, very important. They're the ones that create the holes. They're the ones that create the alleys for you to run through. That is very,
Yeah.
very important to me. And to guard your quarterback, obviously. There's going to be a lot of play action, I think. You could even have two backs back there. You never know. It's going to be obviously it's Kevin's offense, but the scheme could change a little bit, you think, to create that second back or maybe even two tight end set?
Yeah. Well, when Chubb got hurt against Pittsburgh and got that bad knee injury in 2023, Ford was inserted the rest of the way, and he gained 813 yards that year, scored 4 touchdowns. So, I mean, that was a decent season. Last year, he only had 565 yards and 3 touchdowns. Um, so he can carry the load, but I always looked at Jerome Ford more as a complimentary back, kind of like Kareem Hunt was to Nick Chubb. They're like when Emmitt Smith played, Sherman Williams of Alabama was the complimentary back. When Jim Brown played, he had Bobby Mitchell. So here you got this big bruising back and this little guy, and they complemented each other because one guy can do one thing really well and the other guy can do another thing really well. So I always looked at Ford as a complimentary back and not a starting running back. I think the problem he has is that he goes down on the first hit. He has very few yards after contact. which I think is an issue for any running back. Um, you've got to be able to take the hit and get 2 more yards, 3 more yards, sometimes break it for 10 or 15. And Ford will be good for a good 16-yard scamper, a 30-yard scamper once in a while. But I really don't see him as a starting back. Now, he may start the season as a starting back. I think Judkins is going to eventually take over that position. You think that's a good assessment, or you like Sampson better?
No, I think Judkins will be number one. But remember when he transferred from Ole Miss to Ohio State is because he didn't want all the carries. He wanted to share the carries. Obviously, if you're carrying the ball the entire game, you're going to get worn out. I see Jerome. Well, Mary Kay Cabot did say that Quinshawn will be starting, and then you're going to have Sampson at your third and fourth down guy. That's what Mary Kay Cabot said. You could take her with a grain of salt, you know that, but she's not always right. I think you're still going to see a lot of Jerome Ford, man. I really do. He knows the offense,
right?
Why not? That's a crucial point. So
exactly, because the playbook is huge. I don't know how these guys memorize all those plays. I really don't. It's absolutely huge. So to be familiar with it and to have some time in it and be the feature back already, which he was, I think that's going to be a plus in his. Getting to Judkins, he's still not signed.
Oh yeah, he's one of 30 second rounders that have not signed. We actually talked about that on the show Tuesday. One of 30 second rounders that are not signed yet.
Yeah, now he has participated in every on-field event the Browns have held this off season. And if you paid attention, this is just not an issue with Cleveland because like you said, nearly every second round pick around the NFL hasn't signed. I don't understand that because back in the day when Sam Bradford class, that was the last class that they didn't slot rookie contracts. And ever since then, if you're drafted number 21 in the first round, it spits out, this is what you're going to make. This is going to be your number of years. This is your contract rate. Now it doesn't talk about signing bonuses or it doesn't talk about workout bonuses and stuff like that. But this is your main contract, and you don't sign for anything more or less. The only thing I can say is the reason he hadn't signed it. It's got to be maybe some wording in the contract that he's concerned about. I don't know, because he's not going to get more money. It's not like he can hold out for more money because they're going to offer him one amount of money and you either take it or you sit out a year. So it's got to be verbiage in the contract. I don't know what else it could be.
I don't think it's that. Honestly, I think they're going to see what all these other second rounders are going to get, and then maybe play it off of that.
No, they're not going to get. No, the amounts are set. They're not going to get anything more. They're not going to get more years, less years. They're not going to get more money, less money. It's a set amount.
I didn't know that. I thought they could still offer more.
Nope. No. Now, signing bonuses, yes. Guaranteed money, yes. Bonuses, like if you hit 1,200 yards in the season, you'll hit this bonus of 250,000. If you got workout bonuses, you show up 85% of all the workouts, then you'll get this much of a bonus. If the team makes a play, like Joe Flacco, his contract is basically just all bonuses. If you get 10 wins, he gets a bonus. I mean, he's making very little money for the season. I think it's like $4 million, and the rest is just all, it's just all bonuses and stuff. But when you're a rookie, no, if you're the 35th pick, you get this amount of money, and that's it. You can't get more and you can't get less. That is the amount. So you can't wait to see what number 34 gets and number 33 gets, because you are set in stone what you're going to get. The only other thing is the bonuses and the signing bonus.
Do you think with his past injuries that he's looking for more of a guaranteed signing than anything? That could be it.
I I think that's another sticking point is that if you're looking for a fully guaranteed rookie contract, I think that could be one of the conditions there. You're not going to get more years. Um, I, Sometimes it's just the wording in it. Trade clauses um, and fifth year options and stuff like that. I really don't know. I couldn't tell you. I've read a little bit about it, but I just can't figure out why he's holding out now. And it's a lot of guys in the second round. That's what's weird about it. It's not the first round. It's not the third round. It seems like a lot of these second round guys are just kind of waiting. And I don't think it's not wanting to participate in training camp or not wanting to, because Judkins has been there for everything the Browns have offered and have been mandated. So it's not that. I couldn't tell you what the problem is, but he's unsigned.
Yeah,
That's all I know.
I mean, we'll see. Man, I mean, he'll be signed. I guarantee you, he'll be signed. There's not going to be any ulterior motive in that, but it's going to be interesting to see when it happens, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the linebacker we signed, Schlesinger from UCLA.
Yeah,
With the okay, his entire rookie contract was guaranteed. Maybe that's what he's looking for.
that's what I'm thinking. But
Yeah, and the guy that was picked right after Schlesinger, the receiver Jaden Higgins, he got a fully guaranteed rookie contract. Of course, second rounders are usually signed to 3-year deals instead of 4-year deals, like first rounders. First rounders have a 4-year deal with a fifth-year option, but second rounders, third rounders, well, everybody else usually has a 3-year deal. Uh, I don't know if they can offer a fourth year. I don't know that at all. Possibly, but I just know he's not going to get more money. But it could be he's holding out to get a fully guaranteed contract like these other guys. And I don't know why NFL owners do this or GMs do this, because once you give it to one guy, then you have to start giving it to all the guys. And for me, I wouldn't want to fully guarantee anything with a rookie. I mean, just because they're drafted high in the second round or high in the third round doesn't mean they're going to be anything. I mean, look, David Bell's a third round pick. Anthony Schwartz was a third round pick. Jacob Phillips was a third round pick. And where are those guys?
to be honest, Barry, I don't want the Browns doing any more guaranteed contracts. It's kind of scary now.
True that. Yeah, good point. Yeah,
That was
we were stung by that, weren't we?
yeah, that was a crucial hit to the Browns. And my biggest
Well,
thing right now is we actually brought this up while we were on a Dogs podcast last weekend. We're
yeah,
talking about quarterbacks. They're like, who would you like
okay.
to start? And I'm like, you know what? We lost $230 million and 5 years with a bum. I'm gonna say it, a bum. And
Yeah,
what more do we have to lose? If Shador shines at camp, put him out there. If Gabriel shines at camp, put him out there. Everybody's like, oh, you don't start a rookie quarterback. I want to tell you
yeah,
right now, that dude is shining and doing better than the veterans, Flacco, and just put him in.
yeah. Well, we'll see. And there's been a million stories written already about the Browns. One thing about Shador coming to the team, everybody is watching the Browns.
Oh yeah.
Everybody is focused on the Brown. Everybody's writing a story about the Brown. I've seen stories where they'll say Shador is going to be the first player cut. I've seen stories where he's going to be week one starter. I've heard stories where by week 4 he'll be the starter. I've seen stories where Gabriel's going to start the season. Kenny Pickett, Deontay Johnson, the new wide receiver that we picked up, free agent. He's saying Kenny Pickett's going to be the starter week 1. And from that point on, of course, he played with him in Pittsburgh. So he's familiar with him. He's familiar with his work ethic and what kind of player he is. But, Pittsburgh got rid of him. Pittsburgh, got tired of him. He was I think he was 29th in the league in starting quarterbacks, and they just traded him away. The Eagles traded him away. So I don't know what Johnson's thinking.
Well, you could say we have a Super Bowl contending quarterback on the Cleveland Browns, but
Yep.
that's about it.
Well, we've had a lot of players come and go that got Super Bowl rings. Jock Thornhill, the safety from the Chiefs, he had 2 rings.
He's gone.
Yeah, just because they got Super Bowl rings, doesn't mean that they were the one that won the game. Just mean that they were on the team.
Let me ask you a question here.
All right.
Shedeur Sanders. It was between him and Cam Ward to go in the first round, number 1 pick, right? For forever.
Yeah.
Well, in the last 2 to 3 weeks before the draft, Shedeur's just plummeted to the bottom. Obviously, we picked him up in the 5th round. Why wouldn't we keep him? A first-round draft prospect up until 2 to 3 weeks before the draft just plummets. I mean, I'm going to keep him.
Well, I don't know why he plummeted. I do know this, that Dion, his dad, from minute 1 said second pick, might be the first pick, second pick. He preached and preached. I saw a podcast that he was on, and he was with 2 other guys, and the host said, "Where do you think Travis Hunter and Shedeur will be drafted?" And Dion said, "Both of them top 4 picks." He said, "I don't know where they're going to end up, but one of them will be first overall, and then other one will go no further down than 4th. Then he went on to that national TV show with, I forget what the lady's name is, kind of like an Oprah Winfrey show that's on in the afternoon. And he was talking about he would go no further than 9th to the New Orleans Saints. So, he preached and he said that. And then I think people jumped on that bandwagon and said, yeah, Shedeur Sanders, second best quarterback in the draft. I don't know where he's going to go. I think the scouting was always he was going to be a 2nd or 3rd round pick. I think he was. Was he a 5th round pick scouting? No. But I think the scouting, we did a story among the writers at Dawgs By Nature of what if Shedeur Sanders fell to the 2nd round. Of course, we had the first pick in the 2nd round, and then we had another pick later, which is where we took Judkins. So we said, each one of us writers said, what if he fell to the 2nd round? Should we take him? And we all had our focus on it. We had 4 writers. 2 said yes, 2 said no. And we all gave our reasons. So I think he was just misdiagnosed from the start. Here's what I know about the draft. The draft is what shows you who is who and where your rating is. Not mock drafts and not preseason, pre-draft rankings. Any of these websites. I saw where Pro Football Network, they had him listed at number 85, which is 3rd round. So I think he was just misdiagnosed. Now, was he 5th round talent? No, of course he wasn't. But here's what happened is once he went past the Steelers at 21 in the 1st round, nobody else in the draft needed a starting quarterback. Nobody. The Jets, the Saints, the Giants, the Steelers, the Browns, the Titans, nobody else needed a starting quarterback. You follow that?
Oh, well, Miami does.
Yeah. Okay. Well, after he went got passed on by the Steelers in 21, then he becomes a backup choice. He is no longer viewed as a starting quarterback because everybody passed on him. I mean, if he was, a starting material, if he was Aaron Rodgers, somebody would have picked him in the 1st round. When the Steelers, from picks 22 to 32, Nobody needed a quarterback at all. So then it goes to the second round, and when the Browns passed on him at pick number 33 and picked the linebacker, then it was like back again. Now everybody is looking at Sanders as not a starting quarterback, but a backup quarterback. So now everybody's looking at their roster to say, do we need a backup quarterback? And I think one by one, it just got fewer and fewer and fewer. You think about it, when he was drafted in the 5th round, every single NFL team passed on him 5 times. Some even passed on him 6 times. There's a reason for that.
Well, here I got the Ourlads draft guide pulled up right here. 9.58 Cam Ward, number 1. 9.52 Shador Sanders, round 1. Then you got Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart's a 7.53. He went in what, 3rd round? Second round?
First round. The Giants traded up to get him in the 1st round.
And then Jalen Milroe, 6.77. And then Will Howard projected to go in round 3 or 4. It's Tyler Sugg, 5.56. Projected to go in the 4th or 5th round.
See, all those guys were at the Senior Bowl. I covered the Senior Bowl. I interviewed Dillon Gabriel. I interviewed Tyler Shuck. I interviewed Jackson Dart and Jalen Milroe. I didn't interview anybody else that was there. Will Howard was supposed to be there, and then all the Ohio State players canceled going to the Senior Bowl. But out of the Senior Bowl, I thought Jalen Milroe couldn't hit the side of the barn. And I wrote the last day in my diary that the only quarterback that looks like it could be a week 1 starter was Dillon Gabriel. He hit everything. He had great drop back abilities. He could hit the long ball in stride. And we're not talking about a receiver and a defensive back and no rush. This was in 7-on-7s. So there is a rush. Somebody is in his face. There is a cornerback covering the receiver and doing his job. But all of those, but you notice the Browns, they passed on him 5 times. They passed on Shador 5 times before they finally drafted him. I'm not saying that he was misdiagnosed 100%, but surely he should have been taken in the 3rd round. I would have expected 2nd round. I can see him dropping out of the 1st round. Once the Steelers passed on him, I can see that. But for him to fall in the 5th, and now what are the Browns going to do with him? I mean, is he even competing for the starting position?
We're going to see.
We're going to see.
But realistically, who do you think is going to start week 1? I'm going to say it. I'm going to say Joe Flacco will start week 1 coming in. And then by 3 or 4 weeks, you'll see somebody else.
I think Flacco was signed 100% to be the starting quarterback. Now, if you notice, Kenny Pickett was the first quarterback. Well, of course, DTR was the only quarterback that was left, and Deshaun. We know Deshaun will go on IR at some point. DTR, we got rid of him. But Kenny Pickett was traded for to be the backup. He's got 25 NFL starts. He's played in 30 NFL games. So he's got some experience. Not a lot. He hadn't played great. So I don't know about that, but he's got experience, and you don't want to throw in a guy that's hardly ever played. Like when we put DTR in, when Deshaun got hurt in DTR's rookie year, played against the Ravens, horrible, absolutely horrible. The darling of the preseason, but you're playing against 2nd and 3rd team guys. These are the real guys. And of course, that showed that he wasn't a player at all. But that's what Kenny Pickett was traded for. Then Dillon Gabriel, Kevin Stefanski, when that pick came up, we knew Stefanski was going to take a young project, some quarterback, and he likes pocket passers. Deshaun was a mismatch. We all know that. He picked Dillon Gabriel. He didn't have Tyler Shuck or Jalen Milroe to choose from, but Ewers, the quarterback from Texas, Will Howard, Shador, all of these guys were on the board, and he picked Dylan Gabriel. And then we saw a report on The Athletic where Kevin Stefanski said Dylan Gabriel was the guy that we targeted. That's who we wanted. He said, I don't care who was there in third round. We wanted Dylan Gabriel. And that's who he chose.
I'm not mad at it. I'm not. I think it's going to be like another Baker Mayfield scenario where everybody's going to freak out because the guy's too short.
Yeah.
That's obvious. Then the one reel that they posted that's going around where you seen him get a ball batted down, and it was like the end of the world. So,
yeah, I'm 5'11". I interviewed him twice. It was both times was in a group of reporters, so there was about 4 or 5 of us together. I didn't get one-on-one time with him like I did with Jackson Dart and Jalen Milroe. It was in a group setting, and I saw eye to eye with Dylan Gabriel. And the first time that I met him, I didn't know his measurements. I knew his stats. I just didn't know his measurements. And I looked at him and I went, wow, this guy's got no height at all. But way back in the day when I covered the Senior Bowl, Russell Wilson was at the Senior Bowl. Me and another guy did an interview with him. And after we did the interview, I turned to this other guy and I said, that guy acts like he's going to play in this league. And the other guy laughed and said, yeah, they don't pick short quarterbacks. He's 5'10", 5'11". He was taken in the third round, and look, he's a name guy. Drew Brees, Fran Tarkenton. These are all guys that Doug Flutie. These are all guys that played well in the NFL that didn't have any height. I've got a picture of Drew Brees. He's standing on his tiptoes, about to throw the ball in the pocket. So you just do what you got to do, and you'll have success.
Right, to each their own. If they got a way they do things and it works, then keep it up, I guess. It's just, like I said, a skepticism because of Baker Mayfield, and his height was an issue here, and it's already an issue here, being 5'8".
Yeah.
I'm 6'6", so I would tower over him. And then you got to think of the defensive linemen, professional elite defensive linemen that are going to be just standing up and swatting balls away. It's a possibility. You're going to have to take another 2-3 steps back and launch the ball up in the air.
Yeah. What is Flacco? Is he like 6'6", 6'7"?
I think Joe Flacco is 6'4". Hold on, I can look that up real quick.
No, he's a tall dude.
Yeah, he's definitely 6. Oh, he is 6'6". Yeah.
Yeah. I interviewed Joel Bitonio this week, and he told me, he said, I said, you're familiar with Joe Flacco? And he said, yeah. He said, he's taller than everybody. Of course, DeJuan Jones wasn't on the team then. He said, but that was the thing about him, is that he was taller than all of us offensive linemen. He said, maybe a tight end might be the same height or taller. And of course, DeJuan Jones is 6'8", 6'7".
6'8", yeah.
He said, but he was always taller. Well, what's going to happen when you got a guy 5'11" in the huddle? I know shorter guys have had success, but other shorter guys have not. And of course, the pro game is not the college game. You could have success like that, and in the college game, your center could be 6'1", whereas our center is Ethan Posick. What is he, 6'7"? So all these guys are bigger. They're stronger. They're meatier. They got broader shoulders. They use those huge shoulder pads, the biggest ones they make. Everybody's bigger. So to be a short guy in the huddle, he's just going to have to do the best he can. But he's got a good arm. He's got a live arm. He played at a great program. His Oregon team beat Ohio State, and Ohio State won the national championship.
Yeah, that's a rough one. That was a rough pill to swallow, but at the end of the day, no matter, like I said, I'm looking forward to whoever is best at the end of camp.
Yeah.
And I think camp's going to be a little bit tougher this year because they're not going to Camp Cupcake in West Virginia anymore. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Do you have the training camp schedule?
Do I have what?
Do you have the training camp schedule?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh, we have it on Dogs by Nature. It's got the complete schedule, and it shows all the schedules. It shows all the dates that the public is invited, and it's got all the information there. The first one is Friday, July the 25th at Berea's. It's at 2 o'clock. And then the very next day, Saturday at 9:30 a.m. But those are the first two the public's invited to. There are 9 dates that the public can attend. All the rest, no. Um, we've got 2 joint practices with the Carolina Panthers in North Carolina, and then we've got 3 with the Philadelphia Eagles, and those are all in mid-August, August the 13th through August the 16th. And then our first preseason game is against the Rams on August the 23rd, which is a Saturday. But it's the complete schedule. Every practice that they have, every public practice is all listed on Dogs by Nature.
I pulled it up here for us so we could all see it. But yeah, I would like to get to the Saturday one for sure if I can.
Yeah.
We actually contacted the Browns asking if we can get some kind of media pass to join this, which would be cool. I would have to use more vacation time that I don't have, but I'll make it.
Yeah.
if I can. But
well, they should be able to give you credentials.
we're working on it.
I would think. And then if nice. Make sure that you identify what kind of access you have to players and coaches, because like at the Senior Bowl, after practices you have 15 minutes on the field and you can interview anybody you want, but there's a line that you can't cross, and the scouts, NFL scouts, grab their guys, and sometimes their guy is your guy. But then again, they also have devoted media spots where they'll grab a guy like Jalen Milroe and they'll put him over there. And that's the only time you've got to ask them questions. And then you're in a horde of 20 other guys or women that are trying to ask questions. And sometimes you can't even get your question in it. But then again, sometimes you on the field. So make sure that you ask the question of what's the media availability like, and then you'll know.
Yeah, I would imagine slim to none, but we're gonna still try.
No, I'm sure they'll have access. They've got to. Teams want you to talk to guys. They want you to talk about the team. They want you to talk about what's going to happen and how they look and who looks good and who doesn't look good and what's going on. They want you to write about that and talk about that.
I want to do that, so we're gonna find out hopefully soon what's gonna happen with that. And actually email them again today. Now that you put a bug in my ear again.
Yeah. Good luck to that.
Thank you.
Where's sunscreen?
Oh yeah, lots of it. I should have wore sunscreen when I went golfing this morning, but I didn't.
Yeah, sunscreen and a hat that has got a bill on it. Shade your face.
Yes. I did want to touch a little more on the wide receivers, because obviously there's issues. I'm not going to say issues. There's plenty of room for fixing up in the wide receiver room.
Yeah.
We obviously all know Jerry Jeudy's wide receiver number 1. More than likely, if Cedric Tillman has a breakout year, he's going to be wide receiver number 2. What else do you got? I'm high on Jamari Thrash. I am, personally, but that's just my opinion. I think that kid's going to come out, and hopefully you'll see a lot of him this year, and he'll shine. What is your opinion on that?
Well, we talk about Cedric Tillman being wide receiver 2 on the opposite side, and that leaves a slot guy. He only had 29 catches last year. Tillman did. He had 49 targets, but he only had 29 catches for 339 yards. So it's not like he's had any type of production at all. 224 yards is rookie year. So everybody keeps talking about him being wide receiver 2. Well, where's this production coming from? Hopefully he's got a great training camp. He's got great size. He's 6'3". He got long arms. So hopefully he's got more ability than what we're seeing, because he just hadn't produced so far. Now Thrash, stud in college, absolutely a stud. At Georgia State before he transferred to Louisville, he had 1,122 yards and 7 touchdowns. Got great speed, electric, lightning quick. So hopefully he'll be catching the ball more, and we'll see if he's going to be the slot guy. Now, I think the wild card to all this, though, is Deontay Johnson. You know, that's an enigma right there. Number one, we signed him to a 1-year deal as a free agent. Come to find out, we were the only team that called him. I think he's making 1.3 million or something like that for a 1-year deal. We were the only team that called him, so everybody else is staying clear of him. We seem to be famous to grab these guys that nobody wants, that are problem child. But while he was with the Steelers, in his 3rd year, he had 1,161 yards and 8 touchdowns, 169 targets. That's how much he was used in the passing game. Steelers traded him to Carolina. In the first 7 games of the season, he was their leading receiver until he got hurt. He had a quad injury. And from there, he was traded to Baltimore. Had a problem with Baltimore. They cut him. He went to Houston. After 2 games, the last game of the year, they put him in. He had 1 catch for 12 yards. They put him in the playoff game. He had another 1 catch. Then he exploded in the locker room. So here he was after a win, just whining and crying about not getting the ball thrown to him, and they cut him. So last year was just kind of a weird scenario where he was drama-filled. He's been labeled as a problem child, and now we got him. If he could have, back in 2021 when he had all those yards, he made the Pro Bowl. Had all those targets, had 107 receptions that year, made the Pro Bowl. So if he can get back, if he can mature and shut his mouth, get back to that year that he had, play the slot, Tillman on the outside, Judy on the outside. If Deontay, I just think Deontay Johnson is going to be the wild card to all this.
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping he can get rid of his cocky arrogance and set all his BS aside in the locker room and not be a cancer in there. And let him shine again. Hopefully, this team will make a difference for him to be able to do what he did in Pittsburgh. It's what we have to look forward to.
We got 13 receivers on the roster.
And everybody says we don't have enough.
I mean, David Bell and Michael Woods are hanging on. Those are 2 guys that can make it. We only keep 6, but we've got a ton of guys. Most of you never even heard of, like Kizion Johnson and Gage Lavertine. We know of Luke Florida because he's a local boy. But we got a lot of guys on this team, and that are competing for 6 spots. I expect it to be Judy, Tillman, Deontay Johnson, David Bell, Thrash, and Michael Woods. If I was to pick, I think those are going to be our 6 guys. But invariably, we always got one guy that just shines, and we just think, what about him? Another weird thing, Mike, about this roster, we have a fullback on the roster. Troy Hairston came from the Texans. We have a fullback on the roster. What's with that?
How often do fullbacks get used anymore? Right, unless you're at the goal line, really. I mean,
yeah. We haven't had a fullback since Andy. What's his name? Janovich. Andy
Yeah.
Janovich. Um, so I don't know why we've got a fullback on the roster, but we do. We've always used like Nick Harris. We had Harrison Bryant playing fullback. Nick Harris always played it. Michael Dunn played fullback. That was kind of who we used as a fullback or an H-back to do blocking if we got into the jumbo package. But we got a true fullback on the roster. I don't know if, when Nick Chubb first started out and when Stefanski first started, they had Janovich in there to play, and he played a lot with Nick Chubb. So I
Right.
don't know if we're going back to that or why would you even have a roster spot for a fullback if you didn't have intentions of maybe using them?
That could end here in a couple weeks, but something else we're gonna have to wait on. I haven't seen a fullback on this roster since, like you said, Janovich. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be interesting to see what they do with that. But I mean, they're good blocking guys. I don't know. You got tight ends now. Let's move on to tight ends. You
Okay.
got David Njoku.
Yeah.
Is not really a huge blocker. He's just a guy that runs out there and grabs the ball. Catches every highly contested ball, but drops balls right at the numbers. And then you got Fannin Jr. now. Harold Fannin can block really well and can catch the ball really well. Runs weird, but runs.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing that kid more than anything, to be honest. Early round draft pick. Phenomenal kid out of Bowling Green. Boom.
Yeah.
Keep
I,
him.
I interviewed, I did a full interview with him at the Senior Bowl. They have a media session. I actually did my research. He played quarterback in college. I mean, excuse me, in high school. He was all state in quarterback. And what happened was he grew up and he grew out. And when he got to Bowling Green, his freshman year, they had a guy that was all state out of Indiana. They had a playing quarterback. They had a guy that was all state out of Virginia. And he went to the coaches and said, what's going to happen with me? They moved him to tight end, and that's where he got his start in tight end. But he led the nation in two different categories. One was receptions, 117 receptions, and the second was receiving yards for pass catchers, 1,555 yards. He also had 10 touchdowns. Now, think about it. He led the nation in catches and receiving yards, but he plays tight end. I don't think that's ever happened.
And I can't wait to watch it happen again.
Great kid. Great kid. He's got wild hair, but great kid. Very articulate. A lot of players will say and but they'll also say, you know what I'm saying. They'll also say, and situations. No, very articulate. He doesn't have a lot to say when you ask him a question. A lot of players will go on and on and on. He kind of answers it, and then that's it. He doesn't keep going and say things that have nothing to do with the question. Very good kid. I think we're going to run a lot of two tight end sets. I think Fannin's going to start. I think he's going to start as one of the 11, because if we're going to keep a running back, two tight ends, three receivers, I think that's going to be our offense for most of the year. Fannin's going to be there day one, week one. They're going to use him as a tall receiver, and instead of using another receiver, he's going to be our other receiver. I think he's going to improve this offense tremendously because of his pass catching ability, and he'll go after it. He's got long arms. He'll absolutely go after that ball. He's got elite route running abilities, and he's a technician who can manipulate defenders with his precise footwork and tempo changes. and he consistently creates a separation against both man and zone coverage.
And that's huge. Another quick question I have for you, Barry, is obviously Bowling Green isn't a huge school to come out of, and we know that playing his schedule probably really isn't all that tough. Obviously, he showed it on the field that he's a good athlete, but at the end of the day, is there a possibility that this could not? I don't want to say a hoax because the kid could play, but is it possible that he'll come here and not do as good as we all think he is because of the toughness of schedule, the school that he went to, and all that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we will see. You know,
I had to say, you know what I'm saying. I had to. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, when he goes up against Denzel Ward, when he goes up against Jordan Hicks, which Jordan, the linebackers are the ones, and the safeties are the ones that's going to get on him. He gets up against safety like Rayshon Jenkins and Grant Delpit. We will find out what kind of if he's got separation abilities, if he's able to use his body against those type of players, and just see what happens. He did tell me that he realized that they changed the offense to fit him. He was getting 65% of all snaps in games. I'm pulling up Bowling Green's schedule. They played Cincinnati, Louisville. Those are probably the only tough teams. I mean, Central Michigan maybe, but when he went against Kent State, Buffalo, Akron, UMass, Eastern Michigan, you're right. Those are all going to be cupcake. Lafayette, Liberty. There are very few. There are no Big Ten teams in there. There's no SEC teams in there. He didn't play Oregon. He didn't play USC. He didn't play Notre Dame. He didn't play Clemson. So you could be right. It's when you're playing those type of teams, they've got those type of players, and usually those type of teams are the second and third tier guys that can't play for Ohio State and Penn State and Michigan and Alabama and Florida and teams like that. They don't. In fact, they don't even get recruited by those kind of people.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting year all around. I think we didn't watching the draft. Did you think that we were going to go heavy defense at all? I mean, I know we're supposed to be talking offense, but in the draft, did you think that it was going to be heavy defense pickups for the first? Like obviously Mason Graham coming out the first round after the little trade.
Yeah.
And then Schlesinger, like, whoa. I mean, I get it. We needed to cover ground for certain people. I don't want to talk about his name because then I cry every time I say JOK. I want to cry, but it was shattering. I was at that game where he went down actually, JOK, and
oh, you were?
Yeah, I was getting a pizza and I ran back out to my seat.
Yeah,
it was brutal, but man.
I was fully expecting the Browns to take Abdul Carter, the defensive end. Now, come to find out, Jacksonville and Andrew Berry had made this deal probably I think at the combine is what I read. So this has been in the works, even though they talked about Travis Hunter a lot from the combine to the draft. They talked about Travis Hunter all the time. So it just looked like they were going to draft him. But this deal was already in the books. So already Andrew Berry knew that he was going to be picking fifth. Jacksonville knew they were going to be picking second. So for Abdul Carter to drop to 5 wasn't going to happen. If the Giants didn't take him at 3, then the Patriots and Grable would have definitely taken him at 4. But Mason Graham's a beast. He's an absolute beast. What he is going to do not only is provide, we had a lot of problems with running up the gut. Shelby Harris got hurt a lot. Mo Hurst got hurt a lot. We had to put Mike Hall in there, who was a rookie, didn't play the first 4 games, missed a lot of time. we had to put guys in. I mean, we even picked up Sam Kamara, who had been out of football most of the year. Then he comes in late. We just had a lot of problems with them running up the gut. He's going to help provide to stop that. You look at the defensive tackle room now. We've got Ralph Holly from the Toronto Argonauts. We picked up Malik Collins in free agency. We got Shelby Harris back again. And now we got Mason Graham. What he's going to provide is he going to provide a pass rush. Most defensive tackles don't provide much of a pass rush. If they get a sack or 2 sacks a year, that's considered a win. But mainly you're there to plug gaps and stop the run or force teams to do sweeps on the outside or off tackle between the tackle and the tight end. But you don't want them to go up between the center and the guard or between the guard and the tackle. That shows that you can't stop the run, and we couldn't. That was the problem with this team. Back in 2023, when we were ranked the number 1 defense, we stopped those gaps. We had Dalvin Tomlinson in there. But I think Mason Graham is going to be phenomenal. Schlesinger, my Lord, I can't believe how many. He had 90 solo tackles, 90 in one season. What's your thoughts?
I'm all for it. I heard that they're going to put the microphone in his, or the headset in his his helmet as well. I wouldn't go that far as letting him call the defensive plays. I mean, his rookie year, but you're obviously going to see him on the field, which I'm excited about because he is a phenomenal kid. I'm not going to take that from him. I wouldn't put the headset in his helmet the first year. Let him get acclimated and let him play, but not this year.
Yeah. Well, it would be different if we had JOK. Everything would be different. But I think Wessinger will probably start on the weak side, which I guess we still got weak side, strong side. I guess I guess you've still got that. But I'm expecting Hicks to come back. Hicks is a baller. He's a tackler. The strong side, the Sam linebacker, I guess Mohamed Diabetes would be the choice. You know, Devin Bush has legal problems. I don't know what's going to happen there. Bookie Watson played okay last year, but we've also got Jerome Baker that we signed, who's a veteran. And then a guy that I love is Winston Reed. That guy can stick.
You heard his name a lot last year too.
He hits hard and hits often. And he's always when he's playing, he sees a gap, he makes up his mind, and he goes for it. He doesn't hesitate. What I've seen about Winston Reed. Had good college stats. So I think our linebacker core, even without JOK, is going to be good. And you know what Schwartz does with the linebackers is he requires his front 4 to make all the pass rush. He rarely sends a safety, rarely sends a linebacker. So what the linebackers do is their job is stop the run, cover the running back coming out of the backfield, and cover the tight end. So if you're not using your linebackers to rush, you've got those players to cover these guys in coverage. And that's how Schwartz just sets up his defense.
I'm looking forward to seeing that this year. The defense as a whole, getting these guys, the offense, getting out there, scoring, obviously, and then the defense sticking it out so they're not out there all day. I want to see a lot more turnovers this year as well. That seems to be something we've been lacking on defensive side is turnovers. So that'd be nice to see. But there is something else we forgot to touch base with real quick, and that's another point scorer, and that's our kicker, Dustin Hopkins. I know the question was, will he return to his normal self? Obviously, there was issues with family stuff, family matters at home. You got to not bring that to the field. I understand it's hard, especially with what he's going through. I don't even want to bring it up here, but some people know, some people don't. It's a bad thing. It's a bummer, but you have a job at the end of the day. I you just gotta not bring that to work with you, and hopefully he'll do that. But we were talking yesterday. There's 0 guys that are fighting for a job at camp against him, and then boom, we signed a guy just yesterday, shortly after you and I talked. We actually signed
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Andre Smith
Mm-hmm.
is signed to the Cleveland Browns. So now there will be a kicking
Competition.
competition at camp.
Mm-hmm.
Ian's 4 extra points missed. Yeah, you can't miss an extra point, man. You can't. You can't. That's all. There's no other explanation needed.
Yeah.
We know he's got a leg. Dustin Hopkins. We know he's got a leg.
Okay.
His accuracy last year was completely off.
Oh, horrible.
Yes. So mind over matter at this point. You got to be able to kick those balls and kick them accurately. You'll see him kicking 50, 60 yarders before the game. No problem. And I get it when you're under distress and pressure and all that's coming at you. It's a little bit different, but you got to go into the game with a straight mindset, man. That's what you have to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You need to stand in the corner. You need to stand in the corner for 15 minutes. I'll take it from here. Yeah, it was night and day. It's in 2023. Wow, great year until he got hurt. He was trying to make a tackle, and he pulled a hamstring or he
something
pulled
in his leg,
groin or something like that. But in 2023, 91.7% on field goals. I mean, that's tremendous. He was 33 for 36. He was 8 for 8 on 50 plus. Now, the advantage to that is if you drive and you get to midfield and you go over midfield and you're between the 50 and the 35 and it's 4th and whatever, before you'd either bring out the punt team or Stefanski would go for it. Well, now you trot out Dustin Hopkins and he makes a 56-yarder. You get 3 points. So that's the advantage to having a guy that can nail those. Where he missed those 3 was from the 40 to 49 range. Every other kick he made, he was 12 for 12 on extra points. Oh, excuse me. He was 24 for 26 on extra points. Mike, did you know that the NFL almost eliminated extra point kicks?
Yeah.
I did an interview with Matt Stover, who played for the Browns. Then when he moved with the team to Baltimore, he's in the Baltimore Ravens Ring of Honor now. He told me that he was friends with some guys that are in the front office of the NFL, Vincent, and they were talking about just eliminating the extra point kick and making teams go for a pass or a throw. And he said, he said at their office, he said, don't eliminate it, make it harder. Set it back 10 yards, set it back 20 yards. And that's what happened. They took that. The owners discussed it. They almost eliminated the extra point kick in the NFL, and I'm glad they didn't. The UFL doesn't have that. You go for 2 points, 3 point, 1 point, 2 point, or 3 points from different parts on the field. I don't like that. I like that you can go out there and kick for 1, or you can go for 2. I mean, if you want to have a rule where you can go for 3, I'd agree with that. But Hopkins had that one. I don't know why he didn't get voted to the Pro Bowl. The 2 guys that did was the guy from Seattle and then Justin Tucker. They all had less field goal percentages. They all made less field goals. I don't know why he wasn't named Pro Bowl. I don't know if because he was hurt the rest of the year. But then you take last year, 66.7% on field goals. It was horrible. He just couldn't. He started the season going 4 for 5, but then he missed two against the Steelers. He missed two against the Chargers. And these were all makeable balls that were in the 40s. One he missed that was 37 yards. It was crazy, crazy. It was like a totally different kicker.
Could it? Well, here's an observation.
What?
Obviously, um, we do not have Joe Cool anymore.
Yeah,
Charlie Cool. I'm sorry, Joe Cool. Charlie Cool. Uh, Charlie Hewlett is what the fans on the show named him. When I
yeah,
went to the game, I actually saw him pregame warm up, and I yelled, and he looked right at me and gave me a thumbs up. But
yeah.
now you have Rex Sunahara, which is a new long snapper. Could that be an issue, you think, with snapping it and something being off, or he's not used to? I mean, you wouldn't sign a guy to the team that's not doing his job correctly, but it could
Yeah.
be a scenario. Maybe I do not know.
Well, it didn't look like the snap was bad, and if you notice, the punter Bajorquez is the holder. He wasn't fumbling with the snap. Um, Sunahara didn't skip any balls. It wasn't like they were bad snaps. Now, I did know this when I did an interview, and you've had him on your show with Charlie Hewlett, is that I didn't know that those long snappers like Hewlett, they can snap the ball where the laces are already facing forward. I didn't know that was possible. I don't know how that happens, but I don't know if Sunahara knows how to do that or doesn't. So if he doesn't know how to do that, that means that the holder has to grab the ball and then spin it, whereas before he was just grabbing the ball and setting it down. I don't know. Sunahara has been well traveled. He's been with the Dolphins. He's been with the Steelers twice. He played for the San Antonio Brahmas in UFL before signing on with us, and he's been with us off and on several times. He's been on the practice squad. He's been on the regular roster. He's been released. He's been re-signed. It looks that they don't have another long snapper in camp, so it looks like he's the answer. I was shocked when Hewlett got released. I was absolutely shocked. I know he was hurt. It's got to be a contract money thing because when you bring a guy from the UFL, of course, he's going to be getting paid minimal. So that's the only thing I can think of. I sent a text to Hewlett after and I said, sorry about you getting cut. And he said, I think they just wanted to go younger. Hewlett's like 32, 33. Sunahara is only 28. That's the only thing I can think of. But as far as Hopkins goes, I didn't see any evidence of it being bad snaps. I didn't see any evidence of the holder having problems with it and being able to set it down.
It's funny too because I did ask Charlie. I'm like, how hard is it to snap a ball 10, 15 yards at a time and
Yeah,
effortlessly? And he's like, oh, it's really not that hard. You can go out in the backyard and figure it out. I went out in the backyard, Barry, and I tried it like 4 times, and I'm like,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
not happening.
yeah.
I do.
It's crazy because inevitably you either hit the ball or your hands on the inside of your thighs. It's hard. 15 yards. And not only that, not only is it a snap 15 yards, it's a spiral 15 yards.
Right to where
Think
that person wants it, whether you're punting or kicking a field goal.
That's right. And I asked him in my interview, I said, what do punters want? And he said, well, Corey, he wants it down here by his left hip. And the other guy that we had before it, he wanted it dead center about his navel. And then I had one guy, he wanted it up high, up here on his right shoulder. That's where you got to put it. And not only is he snapping it to a spot, it is a spiral just like a quarterback would throw.
Every time. Backwards between your legs, though.
Yep. Yep.
There's 2 questions Ian has, and they're good. We could answer them real quickly, and then we'll get
Okay.
out of here. But Ian says, which receiver, tight end, besides Judy, do you think will have a 100-yard game? You got to pick one.
What receiver will have
Or
100
tight
yards?
end.
or tight end, you got to say Nagoku.
Joku,
I mean,
really?
yeah, you've got, as long as he stays healthy, you got to say him because he's our other Pro Bowler. He makes acrobatic catches, but he's a roller coaster. He'll have 49 yards one game, then he'll have close to 100 or over 100 another game. He'll have no touchdowns for 3 or 4 games. Then he'll have 2 touchdowns. Then he'll have, uh, you know, 3 or 4 key first down conversions, and then he won't have hardly any conversions, or he'll have a drop. Um, so he's a roller coaster. He's absolutely. I get that. I 100% get that. He got great games, and he'll follow it with just being invisible. But if I would have to say between Blake Whiteheart and the new guy Sal Cannella from the UFL, Harold Fannin, we won't know about Harold Fannin until we see him play at least half a year, and then we'll have a better idea if, like you said, if he had great success because of the competition he was playing against in college, or if he's really that kind of a guy and he's the real deal. Because you never know. I mean, Rob Gronkowski was a second-round pick. Travis Kelce was a third-round pick. You just never know about these guys until you see them. But if I would have to pick one guy to go over 100 yards other than Jerry Jeudy, it'd have to be David Njoku. Well, who's yours?
I'm gonna try to go with Jamari Thrash. I
Okay.
think we're gonna see big things from that kid this year. I'm hoping. It's a high hope, but I'm gonna go for it. And then
Yeah, we got to see him on the field, though.
we've seen a little bit of him, but now it's time to see some more since he'll be out there.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
this one's kind of a funny one since Angel isn't around because Angel, is the Pickett guy.
Yeah.
Every podcast it seems has a Pickett guy, but we could ask honest questions. Do you think Pickett demands a trade again if he doesn't start, or would he swallow his pride and back up Gabriel if he refused to back up Mason?
I don't think Kenny Pickett's got any leverage.
I don't either. None.
I think he's got zero leverage. I think he's going to be happy where he is. He's got good size. He's 6'3", 220. He's just not accurate. He was at the Senior Bowl, and I look back once we traded for him. I didn't interview him, but I did a daily diary for the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday practices. And in one of my practices, I wrote, this guy can't hit anything. He is just so off in the 7-on-7s. And then he got drafted in the first round. I just kind of went, okay, whatever. I'm not a scout. I'm not hired by an NFL team. I don't know. I just watch, and that's just it. But he hadn't played much. Even in his best year, he had 12 starts, and he only had 2,404 yards with 7 touchdowns, but he had 9 interceptions. He's got 15. Yeah, in his career so far, he's played in 30 NFL games. He's thrown 15 touchdowns. He's thrown 14 interceptions. So, he really hadn't done anything. His completion percentage is good, 62.4, but those picks kill you. They absolutely kill you. But he's got no leverage. Here's the thing, Mike. The Browns traditionally in the Stefanski, Andrew Bear era keep 3 quarterbacks. Now that you can protect a guy on the practice squad, they try to keep a 4th one there. But the Browns have 4 quarterbacks, right?
Yep. Well, technically 5.
Okay, 5. So they're going to put, all right, we know what's going to happen with Deshaun. So you got 4. Well, if you're only going to keep 3, then what happens to that 4th guy? Is he going to be a final cut down? Are they going to keep 4 on the final roster and then do some sort of mystery injury and put him on IR for 4 weeks? So they got to do something with that 4th guy. Let's just say that they keep 3 and they're going to cut somebody. All right, who's that going to be? Uh, there's no way they're going to cut either one of the rookies. There's none. They would be snatched up in the waiver wire in 5 seconds. So that leaves Pickett and Flacco. All right. They traded for Pickett, so at least he has value in the eyes of Andrew Berry. Are you going to cut a guy that you traded for? And then Flacco, let's just say Flacco is our starter. Are you going to cut your starter? What happens if somebody claims him? What happens if somebody claims Kenny Pickett? I don't know what's going to happen. If I was a betting man, I think that they're going to keep all four. And then once the roster is set, they're going to take one of those guys and put him on IR.
That's what I was thinking is going to happen. But Ian says, why keep four? You're drafting Carson Beck next season.
Well, and getting back to Flacco, I truly believe he's going to be the starter. And, he could play 4 games. He could play 10 games. He could play 17 games. I don't know. We'll just see. It depends on. I do know that he's very durable. So if he's not playing, it's not because of injury. Flacco, I don't know if Flacco's ever been hurt. He just got that durability issue. But I do know this, that if Kenny Pickett's on the roster and they decide to bench Flacco, it's probably going to be Pickett that's going to come in, unless Gabriel and Shedeur show something tremendous that they can play at this level. I mean, you're talking about playing against the Bengals and the Ravens defense and the Steelers defense. I mean, that's a lot to ask a rookie to come in and do.
The first 6 games are going to be a struggle.
Oh, they're brutal. The whole schedule is brutal. But the first 6 games, when we could be 0-6, we could start out the season that way, but what's weird is last year we only won 3 games, correct?
Yep.
Okay. One of them was against Pittsburgh and one of them was against Baltimore, and both of them went to the playoffs.
Yeah, win the highly contested games. We're like a Njoku last year. That's all we are. We win the highly contested ones. And you know what? At that Ravens game, though, we should have been picked off probably 4 times. The sun was in the Ravens' eyes.
So, yeah. I remember the safety. His name is Patrick for the Ravens. He dropped a sure interception that would have iced the game. They could have run out the clock with about 4 minutes left.
Yep.
And we ended up going down there and scoring. And I think that was Deshaun's last game, wasn't it?
No. That was no. I'm trying to remember what Deshaun's last game was.
I think that was Deshaun's last game. That's the one he got hurt in the first half, and he played the entire game. That was against the Ravens. So
I don't think that was a game.
Yeah. And as far as
it was the Ravens. You're right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And as far as the offensive line goes, here's my thoughts on that. 2 years ago, the offensive line was ranked number 3 in the league. This year, we've got the same cast, except DeJuan Jones replaces Jed Wills at left tackle. It's the same guys. It's the same guys. The problem is that Jack Conklin is susceptible to being injury. DeJuan Jones has been with us 2 years. He's been hurt twice. When the tackles go down, then we put in a guy like Chris Hubbard, James Hudson. I mean, we picked up Garan Christian off of somebody's practice squad. And that's when the jailbreak starts to happen, is when we lose our starting tackles. The middle core, the Batonio, Teller, and Posick, they stay stable and injury free most of the time. They've all had their injuries. I got that, but they don't stay injured for long. It's when the tackles go down. If we can just figure out how to keep our tackles from getting injured, we're going to have a better chance at this year. I mean, that could be 3 more wins just so that the starting five are all healthy. That could develop 3 more wins on the schedule than with plug and play guys.
You want to know what the best part of this offensive line is right now?
What's that?
Is that Andy Dickerson is gone and Mike Bloomgren's
Yeah.
going to hopefully tear it up. Also, the only other concerning part for me would be obviously the left tackle was an unknown last year, and that's your quarterback's blind side. We've talked about this before, where that needs to be protected more than anything. But you have
Yeah.
Dylan Gabriel, it's a left hand, so now your right tackle becomes that necessity on that side of the line,
Yeah.
and that being Jack Conklin. Also, you just said it, injury prone, pretty much. You can call him injury prone now, fairly, but that's something you have to look at as well. But I think with
Well,
Andy Dickerson being gone is going to be a huge asset to this team because last year was, I get it, there's injuries, but you did nothing to that line. And I'm sure Joe Batonio told you some stuff Wednesday when you talked to him, but
yeah, he's
nothing.
impressed. He's impressed with Mike with the new offensive line coach. He coached with Bill Callahan with the Jets, so a lot of his formations um, were from the Jets. I didn't know this about Bill Callahan, but Bill Callahan takes each offensive lineman every game and has a game plan specifically for that player,
Smart.
depending on who they're facing across the line. I didn't even know that was a thing. But each player on the offensive line, Bill Callahan had a game plan just for that guy, how to attack his defender, knowing what the linebackers are going to do, if a safety's going to come, if a cornerback is going to come. I didn't know that was a thing, but I've been told that by several offensive linemen with the Browns, and I think this year, if they're going to be able to adapt to a run heavy offense, you've got to have good running backs. And I think we will find out if these young guys are good running backs. But also, last year, the offense just got away from Stefanski's West Coast offensive style. I think that was successful. It was an outside zone running scheme. And when I talked to Batonio, he said, we got away from everything we were good at. Everybody along that offensive line, they are scouted and employed and drafted and signed because they're run blockers. They're superb run blockers, all of them, even the backups. Then they deal with their abilities to pass block because every offensive lineman hates to pass block. And when you got a team that throws 40 to 50 times, they hate that because the key is the defense. It gives them the power because you get tired having to back up all game. Whereas in the run game, you know where the play's going. You know what man you got to take. You know what hole that you've got to try to provide. And you're moving forward instead of moving backwards. So for us to go back to a run heavy game is going to be nothing but what Browns football has always been about.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this year's offensive line again, returning back to hopefully a number 3 offensive line. That'd be amazing. Ian has a question. He said, how would you split the reps for the first preseason game? Does Flacco play, or do we play 3 quarterbacks or 4 in the game?
Well, I would think that you'd have to have a starter, and your starter is there for 17 games. That is the focus. You don't put a guy in week 1 to say, okay, we're going to leave you here until you screw up. No. The quarterback has got to have confidence. I don't have a problem with any of these quarterbacks being cocky. Shedeur seems to be a cocky kid. I have no problem with that at all. I think it's important to be confident. But when you start week 1, you're telling that guy, you are our starting quarterback for 17 games plus. So there is none of this by week 4. If you haven't accomplished this, we're going to put this other guy in. That happens on its own.
Right.
That's just the way it works. Look at Jameis Winston last year. We were scoring 31, 35, 38 points a game. Jameis was throwing for 300 and almost 400 yards and 3 picks. It wasn't until he threw 8 picks in 3 games that they sat Jameis down. Jameis wasn't hurt, but they told him, you are our starting quarterback unless something bad happens. Well, it happened over and over. So you can't take a quarterback and say, hey, we're only going to give you a pitch count, and that's going to be 4 games, 6 games, 8 games. No, you just give it to him and you hand it to him and you say, you're our starting quarterback. Now, it'll happen on its own if Flacco and Flacco's downfall is throwing interceptions. He's a good game manager. He throws a good ball. And if you notice, he's a pocket passer, which is what Stefanski needs and wants. And if you notice, when he is flushed, he is holding the ball and looking downfield. He'll run if he has to. He'll gain 3 yards. He'll gain 5 yards, try to run out of bounds. Yes, but he's still looking to throw the ball. And he's got this is his 17th year. He's got experience. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been a Super Bowl MVP. But one thing about Flacco is before he came to the Browns, he wasn't even the Jets starting quarterback. He was their backup. When he left the Browns and went to the Indianapolis Colts, he wasn't their starting quarterback. He only started 5 games out of 17 for the Colts last year. So it's not like we're bringing in this ringer. If we brought in Aaron Rodgers, we know what Aaron Rodgers is. He's great every year, right? Every year he's going to perform magic, whether he does or not. We think that. But with Flacco, before and after the Browns, he wasn't the starter, so he's not the Messiah. But I do think that he'll be week 1 starter. They're going to give him the ball. They're going to give him the year and say, take this team to the playoffs. That's why his contract's designed the way it is. You win this many games, you'll get this bonus. You win, we'll go to the playoffs, you get this bonus. You throw for this many yards, you'll get this bonus. Because they know that he's going to be the starting quarterback. He was signed to be the starting quarterback. Now, whether he is or not, we'll find out in training camp.
And I do like the guy. I like the pocket presence that he has. He's able to get rid of the ball. He's not afraid to take a sack if needed. He puts his faith in the offensive line, and he'll stand there in that pocket with pride and then get rid of the ball. Yeah. So do I think his first year coming here off the couch was like a carefree year? I'm having fun. This is fun. I could throw 2 interceptions a game and nobody cares. We have a defense that could stop it and get us the ball back, and we could still have a chance to win the game.
Yeah.
We didn't have that last year, so I wonder how that would have worked out for him. But we know that he's good for at least 5 games on a team the last 3 years. So
yeah, absolutely.
We'll see.
And all these articles that write about all these quarterbacks, that doesn't mean anything. They haven't started training camp yet. All they've done is OTAs, and a lot of OTAs is throwing the ball to a receiver. There's no pass rush. There's no defender.
Yep.
It's like a pro day. Pro day, you throw the ball 40 yards downfield, guy's wide open. Well, there's nobody on him. There's no pass rush in front of you. There's nobody that's going to bat the ball. You don't have to move around in the pocket. You don't have to move out of the pocket. So training camp will find that out. And then when we go do all these practices with the Eagles and with Carolina Panthers, that's going to show a lot. That's going to absolutely show a lot. And the reason teams are doing that now is because they've gone from 4 preseason games to 3. That didn't happen before. That was rare before. So that's why they're doing that. It's their unofficial 4th preseason game. And when we go to 18 games, which we will, the NFL will, then they're only going to have 2 preseason games.
More football?
Yeah. Well, traditionally other leagues, the World Football League in the 70s, they played a 20-game schedule. The USFL in the 80s, they played 18 games. So all of that is just the way. And back in the day when they were only playing 12 games, like in Jim Brown's day, the NFL season ended in December. So it keeps getting pushed back and pushed back.
I'd be all right with 18 games. I do got to take off, Barry, but before we do, I have a sincere question for you. As a team stands right now,
Okay.
not knowing who the quarterback is,
Right.
not knowing who all the running backs, we know who they are, but we don't know who's going to start. But what would you say the Cleveland Browns record is going to be as of right now?
If we have problems with the offensive line, we will win 6 games. If the offensive line can stay intact and protect, I can see 8-9 wins.
So you're saying, just like I've been saying all year, the biggest problem with this team is the offensive line last year.
The biggest problem is not the offensive line. The biggest problem is the offensive line getting injured.
Yes, and coaching last year.
Yeah.
Andy Dickerson was horrible.
Yeah. And before I go, Mike, I want to give you an idiom.
Awesome.
Okay. I'm going to give you where the term false start came from. Now, we know this is an offensive penalty worth 5 yards. And ever since the inception of American football, which its roots came from rugby, it was decided by American football's originator, Walter Camp, that the offense must be set and cannot move before the ball is snapped, whereas the defense was allowed to adjust and dance around at will. Now, this penalty originally was called swaying of the body, but was changed by the Rules Committee in 1947 to imply that the offensive player simply had to start in a false manner.
That's way better than swaying of the body.
that sounds like a pole dance.
Yeah, go sway your body on that pole.
That's right. Not that I've ever been.
Sorry. What? Oh, yeah.
Not that I know what you're talking about. Well, dude,
Barry Shuck from Dawgs By Nature. Make sure everybody, you guys got to follow him.
DawgsByNature.com. I got an interview with the CEO of Stadium Mustard coming out in the next couple of days, and then I did an interview with Joel Bitonio and former tight end Gary Barnidge this week, and those will be coming out in a week or two. DawgsByNature.com. We got 7 really talented writers. It's like a daily newspaper. Every day there's new articles to read, and then you come tomorrow and all those articles are gone. So we crank it out. But Mike, I thoroughly enjoyed my time with you as always.
Absolutely. And if you guys seriously just check this out. Hold on here.
What?
His last story was actually on Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, it goes all the way back to his high school days.
That should be sharing on the page. You guys should be able to see that. That's all Barry's writing there. Definitely a good read. Be sure to go to DawgsByNature.com and check them out. Follow them on Instagram. And you guys are on Instagram and X as well, correct?
I'm on X. I'm not on Instagram. It's just too much time to be devoted to all those. But
couldn't agree more.
Yeah, Instagram. On X, it's right there on the screen at the bottom there. So
awesome.
Send Krispy Kreme.
Yes, and a $2 bill.
yeah, got it. All right,
thanks
Mike.
again, Barry. I will see you soon. We appreciate it again.
Right. We'll see you later on your award-winning show.
Yes, and as always, go Browns.